A lot of questions that need to be answered. Again, we have crew reporters just covering the story from out there in the field to here in studio. Speaking in studio, I want to send it over here to Nate Morabito. And Nate, you've been following the story. You've been a busy guy this morning. You're looking into the property record. So what are you finding right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's what kind of we want to know. Yeah. Number one, what's the history of this property? Who owns it right now? We don't know that. We have some ideas, but we're still trying to figure that part out. But what we do know, according to the property deed from 2004, is that from 1991 to 2004, records show that Roy Lee Dedman owned this property. And in 2004, he and his wife, Connie Dedman, sold it to someone else. Now, over time, it appears it's maybe changed hands again. We don't know what the property was used for all that period of time. We know it's now a vacant school. And, I don't know if it was used as a business, if it was used as just storage property, or if it was just owned and not kept up at all. We're still trying to figure out and piece together that information. But I can tell you, I spoke to a woman who lives very close to that property. She has been on the property before. She's only lived there for a couple of years, but she says it appears that homeless people potentially live in that property from time to time. There's some evidence of dog food. Maybe a dog's been through there. She says it's unsafe. There's blankets throughout it, and she was just shocked to learn that police were setting their sights on this piece of property. And I also think, Nick, like we kind of pique our interest when this stuff starts happening. We're like, oh my gosh, is there going to be a development? Is today going to be the day? And I'm just thinking about her family right now. Mm-hmm. What is Asha Degree's family thinking? There have been so many developments after kind of a quite quiet trail of many years. Yeah. There's been so many developments here in recent months that you have to think that every time they get a phone call or they see another update, they're wondering, is this the day that we're going to find her? And when will somebody be charged with her disappearance and potentially her death if, in fact, she has died? So you just have to wonder, and your heart goes out to them, because this has just been such a winding, long path for them. Yeah. And based on what we're seeing from the sheriff's office, there's no indication today there's going to be some big revelation, right? They were there. They searched. Are we going to find out today what they found, if anything? Doesn't seem that way based on what they've indicated. So that's why we're continuing to make calls and ask questions about people who live nearby, potentially the person who owns the property, Asha's family, to figure out what they're hearing as well.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the search efforts, but we were, during Austin's live shot, we were sort of poking through the video, like just looking, like, do you see anybody? We were kind of having that mini discussion as that was happening. I just want to ask you, Nate, what this story, again, it has picked up steam in recent months, captivated the nation, captivated the state. Have you seen a case like this sort of?
Not that's gone on this long. No, yeah. I've not. That's had such a kind of cold trail and then kind of come back. And I've been doing this, I've been doing this for almost as long as she's been missing, right? And so I've covered plenty, sadly, of missing people. And most of those people have been found dead. Right, and police will always tell you the first 24 to 48 hours. Those are the most critical. Now we're talking about 25 years, and I'm looking at these images of this property in particular, over the last decade, 13 years or so, and the amount of overgrowth that there has been during that time is incredible. And all those trees in the back of that property have grown and become, more dense. And so now you're talking about searching through areas that are, it's going to be very difficult for them to find it, but our technology is great now. Yeah. We have the canine that was out there. They clearly are getting some information from some people that makes them want to check this piece of property, I would assume. Not just the fact that at one point this family owned it. It's been a long time since they owned it. So you just have to wonder, what is the next, shoe that's going to drop here? What is the next development going to be? When are they going to charge someone? Mm-hmm. Are they ever going to charge someone? Will they ever find this girl? And every time I think this, we descend on a scene, we think that maybe today is going to be the day. And honestly, they've got an incredibly difficult job to do, these criminal investigators. They need to have a case that they are going to win ultimately. And so their timeline maybe isn't as fast as what we might want it to be, but they have to do it right. And I respect that, too, that they're trying to be thorough here and try to find every piece of evidence they can.
Wow, this case, as you mentioned, twists and turns. And I just want to reiterate, that property used to be a school, but obviously was in Roy Lee Dedman's name, hasn't been in his name in a long time. I'm trying to make the connections because when people hear school and then his name.
I mean, it's about, I don't know, 15, 20 minute, maybe 30-minute drive away from their home.
Yeah.
We don't know
that
after it was a school, we don't know what it was since, right? I know that at one point in not too many years ago, there was a for sale sign there. I think it still might be there. I can't really tell from the video today. Mm-hmm. But a person was trying to sell it. I called that number. The number was disconnected. But that tracked me to a name of a person that bought the property from the Dedmans, which ultimately led to the discovery that the Dedmans once owned this property. We just don't know how long it's sat there vacant. And I know people who live nearby were hoping that this was going to turn into something much better than it looks right now.
Yeah.
But you have to think that if this is now, potentially a crime scene, I didn't see any crime scene tape, number one. But if this is a scene eventually, what might happen there over time? And I just think it's so important. There's been a lot of names thrown around here. Some of the people are not alive anymore. Some of the people are alive. To our knowledge, police have not charged a single person with her disappearance or death. That's really important to remember. And I think that, attorneys will tell you that's why we have the judicial system, and we are not even at a point where someone is charged with a crime yet. But we want information, and just imagine how badly the family wants information here.
Yeah. I do want to ask you one more question before you get out of here, Nate, because I know you're busy. You're continuing, just like our reporters are just out here trying to get as much information as you can as this story continues to develop. But I'm from North Carolina. I remember this case, and just being from here. You've been working in this market for a while. When you see the pictures of Asha, like, what feelings sort of come up? Because I've been going back through the old stories, preparing for the show, and your heart, it breaks. I just wonder, what feelings come up for you?
Yeah, I mean, you see a child, a smiling child, a child that you would imagine be living a life just like any other kid. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in Charlotte, and I left to go to college in 1999. Mm-hmm. I only came back during the summers and holidays. And this case, once I left, never hit my radar. I moved to other markets to start my career in this business. But when I came to this TV station, it was clear that this was a big-time case. And for the journalists in this building, we really deeply cared about this case. And then I've grown to care about it as well. Because you're talking about so much passage of time and a child that, what was she expecting to happen to her that night? Surely not this. And her family, they go to bed, they expect to wake up and have breakfast the next day with their daughter. She's not there in the middle of the night. We've covered so many of these cases over time, too, where you get the miracle. I was there. I don't know if you remember the girls that went missing that were found in that Cleveland home. And the names are escaping me right now. I feel like one was Amanda, but it'll come to me. Mm-hmm. And one of them was from Northeast Tennessee, where I was working at the time. And they were found alive, right? Many years later, not this many years, but many years later. And I was there when she made the first phone call to her family. Can you imagine thinking that you're never going to hear your child's voice again and then getting to hear it? In this case, the evidence will suggest that there's a very good chance that this family is not going to get that opportunity. But until there is a pin put in this, why should anyone believe any different that maybe she's still alive out there? Mm-hmm. My heart just goes out for this family, because this is, if she is alive, a grown woman. And if she's not, she was robbed of becoming an adult one day. And the question is why? Who did it? Where is she right now? And every couple weeks, it feels like we're getting a little bit closer to finding out those answers.
Yeah.
I don't know that today's the day when we're going to get that answer. But it seems like we are getting closer to the point that at some point this year, we may have some real clarity.
Closure, that's what comes to mind. The family, the community, us as journalists that have invested our time in this story. closure. That's what we want in this case.
And I'll just tell you, my first job out of TV was in Brainerd, Minnesota. It was at a public TV station way north of the Twin Cities. And a young lady named Drew Shadeen went missing. Mm-hmm. And it turns out a sex offender kidnapped her, mm-hmm. raped her, killed her. And over time, you become close with these people. Her mother, we did an interview. I was one of the first people to actually sit down and interview her. And she gave us a book eventually. My wife became close with her too. That says The Book of Fear. And something that she gave her daughter about when you know something's off, mm-hmm. you need to trust your gut. As a child, how do you know that? As an adult, we can say, hey, this seems off. I need to get myself out of this situation.
Right.
Which I rely on all the time now. I will find myself, this doesn't feel right. I need to remove myself. As a kid, you don't have that depth of knowledge yet to really know when something's odd. And this girl was already out of her house in the middle of the night. So you can imagine the fear potentially that was going through her mind, but who knows what she needed. And a car pulls up, supposedly, she gets in. Who knows if she knew these people? There's just so many questions you wonder about. I guess my point is that you do get connected to these stories, and they do stay with you. But for these families, this is not a story. This is their life. Mm-hmm. And that's not lost on me. I know it's not lost on you.
And that's why we are covering the story the way that we are. Is a level of sensitivity, and it is a level of putting ourselves in their shoes, because it could be any one of us, any one of our family members in this situation. Nate, thank you for being here in the Live Impact studio. I know you'll be being here throughout the afternoon into the evening, so we're going to check back in with you a little later. But thank you again, Nate.
Sounds good. I'm going to make a phone call that I think might be relevant here in a few minutes. That's what I do. I rack my brain. What else? Who else haven't I called? What else haven't I looked for? Because really, the information's out there. We just have to find it. And there are people that are willing to share it. You just got to find them. So let me make that phone call now.
Yeah, I'm going to let you get to that phone call. Nate, thank you. Nate Morabito, shedding some great perspective on this story. And again, this is a 25-year-old case, 25 years and counting right now. And as Austin Walker, who's live there in Lincoln County, where authorities were this morning, I say were because Austin says authorities are not there right now. So where authorities were making that search, we're still trying to make that connection between the search and to what's going on with this case. And this is a look at from earlier of that scene.